Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. We'll begin with chapter 16, verse 4. Korach has gotten a group of people together to make a major complaint against Moshe and his leadership and his appointment of Aaron. Actually, maybe let's just see the preceding pasuk, or let's start with verse 2. Vayakumu lifnei Moshe. They rose up before Moshe. V'anashim b'nei Yisrael chamishim u'mosayim, 250. Nisiyei Edah, leaders of the congregation, Kriyei Moed Anshe Shem, people of unique distinction. Verse 3, Vaykoalu Moshe v'El Aaron, and they gathered on Moshe and Aaron, Vayemru Eleihem Rav Lachem. They said to them, the complainers said to Moshe and Aaron, there's a lot being given to you here. Kichol ho'edah kulam kidoshim, we're all holy, uvesocham Hashem, and within the congregation is God. Umadua tisnasu al kal Hashem. And why should you elevate yourselves over the community of God, the congregation of God? Verse 4, Vayishma Moshe Vayipol al panav. Moshe heard, he fell on his face. Verse 5, Vayidaber el Korach ve'el kol adaso lemor. Moshe spoke to Korach and all his group, saying, Boker, in the morning, V'yodah Hashem es asher lo v'es hakadosh v'ikri ve'lav. God will let you know what is to him, and that which is holy will bring to him. And whoever God chooses, he will be the one who will bring close. So Moshe challenges Korach and his group to a whole showdown involving lighting the incense. Okay, now there's just a very obvious question over here. What happened to Aaron? In verse 3, the group addressed themselves to Moshe and Aaron all of a sudden is totally silent. It's not only in the response in verse 5 that Moshe is speaking alone, even in the basic reaction, even the falling on the face, which presumably is a prayer before God, it's just Moshe, nothing about Aaron. What's going on? So the Ramban on Pasuk Daled, Vayipol al panav, V'lo Omar Vayiplu, it doesn't say they fell on their faces. Ki Aaron b'musaro k'dushaso, Aaron with his refinement and sanctity, lo ana davar b'chol hamachlokas hazu, did not say a word in this whole exchange. Vayihi kamacharish, he was just silent. Ukamodeh shemalas Korach gedolim imalaso. In other words, Aaron has no objections. You know what? I hear maybe Korach's greater than me. Maybe Korach's more appropriate. I have no comment. Aaron does play a role in the rest of the story because he's very much part of this showdown with the lighting of the incense. But that's not Aaron. That's Moshe instructing Aaron what to do. Okay, Aaron's not going to disobey the leader of Klal Yisrael, but Aaron doesn't react at all. Aaron doesn't see this as a tragedy. Aaron doesn't see this as a crisis. Maybe I'm not supposed to be the Kohen Gadol. Whatever. A very, very interesting Ramban. Really very striking. Okay, now the next Ramban on Pasuk Hey, V'tam v'yodah Hashem es asher lo lavodas levia ves hakadosh lekahuna loshen Rashi. It's a really interesting thing. I'm sure some of you noticed it in verse 5. Moshe says, in the morning, God will make known he who is to him and he who is holy. What's the difference? What's the difference between being to God or being holy? So the Ramban cites Rashi that actually these are two different references. Who is to God refers to who should be appropriate as a Levi, who should have the appropriate roles as being Leviim, and he who is holy is who should be the Kohanim. So according to Rashi, what Moshe is responding, what Moshe is intuiting from Korach's words is that this is not only about the priesthood, and it's not only about the high priesthood, it's about the unique status of the tribe of Levi as well. And that's this seeming redundancy. That's how Rashi explains it, that actually Moshe is focusing on different components. Yafe Piresh, the Ramban says, I think that's a good shot in the pasuk. Yomer HaKasov, sheyodia Hashem im halaviyim heim shalo. That Moshe is saying in the pasuk that God will also clarify if the tribe of Levi should have a special status. Kinyan shenemar vayuli halviyim. What would be the idea of the tribe of, what's this language of being to him? Says the Ramban, it's a direct reference to what God said at the beginning of this book. The Levium will be to me. So basically, let God confirm that that's indeed what he wants. O Adayin habechoros shalo. Or maybe it shouldn't be about the Levium. Maybe it should be about the firstborns. Kinyan shenemar kili kol bechor. Earlier, it also says that to me, says God, is every firstborn. So this is really interesting. The Ramban says that the intent of Rashi is that when God will make known who is to him, God has already been on record as to two special groups that are associated with him. One is the firstborns, one is the tribe of Levi. Let God clarify who has that unique status moving forward. Now, what's already transpired is there's already been a shift of the sanctity from the firstborns to the tribe of Levi. But what Moshe is saying to Korach is, you know what? Maybe you're sort of implying that maybe this is all a trick or something. Let God clarify which one he's really taking as a select group. V'es hakadosh, and then what's meant by the one who is holy, hema kohanim hamakudashim lavoda. That refers to the kohanim who are sanctified in their service of God. K'moshe Omar vayibodel Aaron lahakdisho kodesh kodashim. The pasuk in Divrei Yom says that Aaron was set aside to sanctify him because of his role as a Kohen. Ki Korach k'dei lesof elav ha'am gam al halaviyim yachlok. You know, if you want to get a large group of people to agree with your campaign, you got to service various interests. So Korach understood it wasn't enough to talk about who should be the Kohen Gadol. So Korach decided he would add another plank to his platform. And that was, who says the Levium should be special? Because there's going to be a lot of people who would like that the firstborns retain that status and the Levium not get that status. The Korach's push is, let's bring back the special service to the firstborns. V'hine, kasher nisrfu eila habechoros noda shlo bachar Hashem ba'avodasam. So we know that there was going to be this whole scene with the burning of the incense. So when people who lit the incense were also firstborns, and they also, were destroyed with the burning of the incense, that was a pretty clear indication that the firstborns don't have a special status. And then when Aaron's incense is accepted and he's not punished, then it's very clear that it's not only that the tribe of Levi should be special, but Aaron should be the Kohen Gadol. V'tam v'eis asher yivchar bo yakriv elav. There's this phrase at the end of verse 5, and he who God chooses, God should bring close. That really seems to be redundant. Pam Shein is saying this second time, Sheyudias Hashem es asher lo v'es hakadosh, that God should communicate he who is to him and who he was holy. V'krivo elav machar v'yisha el minchaso, and God should bring him close tomorrow and accept his offering. Lo yifna, and that he shouldn't accept the offering of the others. V'eis asher yivchar bo l'doros la'amod l'sharis lefanav hu v'zaro kol hayomim yakriv elav machar. So the Ramban is explaining that what it means when it says he who he chooses means he who he chooses for generations, not just who has this special status today, but what group will hold the status for generations. Those are the ones that he'll choose with the lighting of the incense. Lomar, Moshe is conveying that this test about the lighting of the incense should act as a sign for generations. This is it. Whoever wins this showdown is clearly the chosen one today, and his descendants will be the chosen ones for generations. Because of Rabbeinu Chananel, Ki elu hanikalim kulam leviim mishevet Korach v'zetam rav lochem b'nei Levi shimuna b'nei Levi. So what the Ramban was saying was Korach had a group. Korach had himself, and Korach had all kinds of people who were firstborns. The Rabbeinu Hananel doesn't agree. The Rabbeinu Hananel says the entire group of Korach were Levium. And he says that's why when Moshe is addressing himself to the group, he says, listen, children of Levi, because the whole group is Levium. And it's not about should the Levium have a special status or not. The group is Levium. They're fine to have a special status. It's about this whole Kohen top. Ulai chashvu shekol shivtam nivchar lekahuna uMoshe me'atzmo chala kavod la'achiv. Maybe they felt that the role of being Kohanim should not be unique to a subset of Levi. Maybe they felt that all of the tribe of Levi should be eligible to serve as Kohanim. Remember, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page. The Kohanim are from the tribe of Levi. Aaron and his sons are from the tribe of Levi. So according to the Ramban, the argument is who said Aaron's supposed to be the Kohen Gadol, and who says Levium should even be special? Maybe it should be the firstborns are special. According to Rabbeinu Hananel, the pshat is, we get it that the Levium are special, but who says there should be a subset that are the Kohanim? Maybe all the Levium should be able to do the work of the Kohanim. And the point, according to either one, is that Moshe is playing with things here. Moshe is taking matters into his own hands, nepotism. The Chalila shayu b'shevet Meshorsi Elokenu, Mosayim v'chamishim kruim unusuim b'mei Mary, boatim b'rabam uvigdol shivtam umalinim al Hashem. Really, really interesting. The Ramban says, I can't agree with the Rabbeinu Hananel. How could he say that there were 250 people from God's chosen tribe who all were questioning the prophecy of Moshe Rabbeinu and complaining about the decisions made? It can't be. It's obviously possible there could be some Levis. Korach was a Levi, but the deal is 250 people. Vilu hoyu min hashevet bilvad. The Ramban is another question. He says, this is such an amazing part of the story. So there's this clear divine punishment of the people who lit the incense in support of Korach. And then the nation turns to Moshe and Aaron and say, you killed God's people. How could you have done this to them? So says the Ramban, if this was only Levium, the natural thing would be all the other tribes would be like, wow, they messed up. But the idea that, you killed God's nation, presumably the feel that you get is probably there were people from the cross section of Klal Yisrael who just died. And so therefore people from the cross section of Klal Yisrael complain. This famous story at the end of the Parsha where God says, let a representative from each tribe put a staff down and let's see who the Kohen Gadol is supposed to be, and Aaron's staff, blossomed. So the fact that everybody did that really implies that the argument had something to do with across the board of Klal Yisrael. If it was just an internal fight within the tribe of Levi, I don't know, let 25 Levium put down staffs, or something like that. But the idea of if no one thought that the other tribes had a special status, what's going on? Okay. And by the way, one more thing the Ramban says, it says in the pasuk, Va'anashim b'nei Yisrael, people, men from the Jewish nation. What did I learn from that? 250 men from the Jewish nation. Did I think they were men not from the Jewish nation? Why does it say b'nei Yisrael? So the Ramban says, don't you understand? B'nei Yisrael means was from the cross section of the Jewish people. So this is an interesting dispute between the Ramban and Rabbeinu Hananel. Maybe we'll go further in it tomorrow, God willing. So we discussed this morning the Ramban regarding the issue of Moshe falling on his face and Aaron doesn't fall on his face. And we've begun to discuss the nature of the dispute between Korach and his people and Moshe.